Alright, let's go. It's Puddle Cakes again here. I'm gonna go over a little different style today. I actually just made the El Cid video probably 10 minutes ago, but I really want to go over epic commanders because I've been getting a lot of messages about epics, Hermann, Kusunoki, why I don't use them, and if they're still viable. And I'm gonna tell you now, yeah, free to play, definitely. KVK 1, KVK 2, and even KVK 3, YSG Kusunoki was a huge thing. And I'm not kidding, especially in Canyon. I saw that everywhere. I saw people in the top 10 with that quite a bit. Hermann, saw a lot of Hermann on the field too, because Hermann syncs very well with El Cid. And I'll kind of go over the skills a little bit and tell you how I used them and why they are so good still. So Hermann's the thing that stinks about the epic commanders and the reason why they're not used as much anymore is because they don't bring as many stats as legendary commanders. So their skill damage might be 900 to 1250 or something like that, whereas a legendary is going to be 1000 or 1400 to 1700 or 2000. The stat bumps are going to be 30 to 40% on a legendary, but they're only going to be like 10 to 25% on epics. So there's this small gap. One thing that is still super useful though is the skills that they bring to the table. So example, Hermann. If we go over Hermann's secondary skill, as you can see, the attack bonus and march speed is only 10% each. It does have a garrison skill, not the greatest, and then it also has a normal attack bonus and a trigger chance. 10%, 10%. So those aren't the greatest, as you can see. But the one thing that makes Hermann so good and syncs so well with someone like El Cid is the main skill, the active skill. When it's not expertised, it does 750 damage, and it reduces the rage of the commander or troops that it's attacking and silences for 2 seconds. So just to explain how good that is that you can actually go and hit someone, you can reduce their rage so they don't cast their skill, and then silence them so then they can't cast their skill for another 2 turns. So essentially you can interrupt and silence. It's so good. It's a great skill, and it works really, really good with El Cid. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, so your first skill proc goes off, it does the reduced rage, it silences for 2 seconds, and 2 turns after Hermann's skill goes off, it actually, El Cid's skill goes off and knocks them back and cuts the white attack in half. So it essentially reduces rage by 150 with El Cid and silences. So it's a great tool, and it's just a great commander to abuse, especially if you're free to play, you're newer, you haven't used, if you just don't have all the commanders. If you don't have Guan, you just have Hermann from collecting for a long time, and you have a maxed out El Cid, this actually will work out really well. And you can interrupt and do everything. It's not as good as Guan, of course, but it's still useful. I think I remember back in, I think it was KVK 1, or no, KVK 2, because I think Sunset Canyon came out just right around then, and I could not defeat some players. I had 3 groups of archers and just nothing was working. I don't really have many tanks, and at the time I just didn't have a good setup. So then I started switching Hermann and El Cid to immediately target Richard every single time. And I won so many fights, I was in the top 10 in Canyon for KVK with 4 epics at the time. So it just shows you how good they were and how good they still are. Why did that say Fangless? Awesome. So if we go to the battle log and we go scroll down, we will actually see Hermann's skill goes off at 10. So there's that ambush, the silence effect. So it went off this turn and it will go off next turn. And you can see El Cid's famous warrior goes off right at that same time, which then negates that the normal attack damage, so it cannot generate rage. So essentially you're pushing that skill back 2.5 turns if everything goes perfectly well. I'm not going to lie, I actually thought about getting the horn and putting it on Hermann and trying and running around with a full legendary Hermann and El Cid. I thought that would have been hilarious, and I can do it too if you guys want to see something cool. 6 Ps. It's so pretty. The other commander that was actually used quite a bit in Canyon back in that time was Kusunoki. You would see a lot of people running YSG and Kusunoki, and a lot of that had to do with the debuffs, and the debuffs that were put on everyone. Aethelflaed just came out, and Aethelflaed's first skill pretty much reduces health, defense, damage, attack damage. So what's the best way to get rid of it? Removes all debuffs. All debuffs. All other debuffs. So this skill was super useful. Not a whole lot of damage. Nothing crazy. Kind of gave some stats. Had a couple of additional factor skills, and then of course the garrison, because I guess archers only could garrison back in the day. It wasn't a whole lot, but you were taking the negative health, defense, and damage caused from Aethelflaed, and you're getting rid of that, making it so your YSG was doing so much more damage. So here, you're lowering all these stats by 30%. That's a lot. That's pretty significant. So your base health, damage, and everything is just getting lowered. So Kusunoki was an extremely useful commander, and it's still really useful because if you look at every commander that puts debuffs now, attack reduction, you've got damage reduction, you've got decreases their damage. I mean, there's so many. Every commander has a buff or a debuff on the enemy, and these are all great. But Kusunoki was not very popular, but it's still extremely useful. It was still extremely useful in hindsight. So I really wanted to make this little video so the free-to-play or the medium spenders didn't really give up hope, because I can tell you that I was hitting 80,000 points in every arc I was in with 4 epic commanders roaming the field. You can do it too. Work on your playstyle, work on how you group your commanders, focus on buffs and debuffs, and you will be great too. I'm not going to talk about other great epics, but I mean, Joan, Sun Tzu are still great commanders that are used every single day. Belisarius, I think, is still a huge commander. I've watched Legend Ronnie use Pelagius forever, and I'm still astonished at how good and tanky Pelagius adds like Mina. It's great. There's so many great epic commanders. I just want everyone that is free to play, medium spender, just focus on a commander, focus on your buffs, debuffs, and you can tear down tier 5s just as easy. So, if you have any questions on the epic commanders, um, hit me up. I'm in Shinchi's Discord. I might make it my own Discord if I get enough views or enough people that are interested. Um, Otherwise, send me a message in game. I'll answer anything like usual. And next video will be on Edward. Edward the Forgotten. So thank you very much. Have a nice night. Bye.